and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Without further ado, I want to pull up this story about Elon Musk. I know. A lot of us are. Some people don't really care that much about him, and I get it. But this is a fascinating story, whether Twitter remains relevant or eventually implodes. Who knows? But so let's talk about what's happening here. Because apparently there's now some drama on the side with both Elon Musk and Apple. So what's going on? So this is an article from Reuters. Elon Musk, Apple threatened to yank Twitter from the App Store. So Elon Musk accused Apple of threatening to block Twitter from its App Store without saying why in a series of tweets on Monday that also said the iPhone maker had stopped advertising on social media platform. The billionaire CEO of Twitter and Tesla said Apple was pressuring Twitter for over content moderation demands. The action, unconfirmed by Apple, would not be unusual as the company has routinely enforced its rules and previously removed apps such as Gab and Parler. Now, Parler, which is popular with U.S. conservatives, was restored by Apple in 2021 after the app updated its content and moderation practices, the company said at the time. Apple has mostly stopped advertising on Twitter due to hate free speech in America. Musk, who took Twitter private for $44 billion last month, he said in a tweet. He later tagged Apple chief executive Tim Cook's Twitter account, asking, "What's going on here?" Apple did not immediately respond to requests for comment. It wasn't clear to me how far up the Apple food chain that idea was initially went internally, and without knowing that it isn't clear how serious to take any of this," said Randall Picker, professor of University of Chicago Law School. The world's most valuable firm spent an estimated $131,600 on Twitter ads between November 10th and November 16th, down from $220,000 between October 16th and October 22nd, the week before Musk closed the Twitter deal, according to ad measurement firm Fastmatics. So what can we take away from this? Well, I just want to pull up this tweet here, or this video here, of the White House indicating it's going to keep a close eye on Twitter. So now everyone's favorite, most trusted institution, the White House, is now going to put its creepy eyeball all over the social media landscape that is known as Twitter. So let's play this video and find out what's going on.
This is a critical moment, really, in terms of ensuring that Twitter does not become a vector for misinformation. I mean, are you concerned about Elon Musk says there's more and more subscribers coming online. Are you concerned about that? And what tools do you have? Who is it at the White House that is really keeping track of this?
So look, this is something that we're certainly keeping an eye on. And we have always been very clear, and that when it comes to social media platforms, it is their responsibility to make sure that when it comes to misinformation, when it comes to the hate that we're seeing, that they take action, that they continue to take action. Again, we're all keeping a close eye on this. We're all monitoring what's currently occurring, and we see it with our own eyes of what you all are reporting, and just for ourselves what's happening on Twitter. But again, social media companies have a responsibility to prevent their platforms from being used by any user to incite violence. Especially,
I just want to point this out here. I'm going to rewind it back. Notice the blinking of the eyes a lot. It's like an indication of lying. Just throwing it out there. It's like, yeah, I promise. Everything's going to be okay. You don't have to worry about a single thing. I mean, look. Sometimes we know social media can be a little bit, I mean, come on. Here, we're going to rewind that back.
So look, this is something that we're certainly keeping an eye on. And we have always been very clear, and that when it comes to social media platforms, it is their responsibility to make sure that when it comes to misinformation, when it comes to the hate that we're seeing, that they take action, that they continue to take action. Again, we're all keeping a close eye on this. We're all monitoring what's currently occurring, and we see it with our own eyes of what you all are reporting, and just for ourselves what's happening on Twitter. But again, social media companies have a responsibility to prevent their platforms from being used by any user to incite violence, especially violence directed at individual communities, as we have been seeing and the president has been.
Now the thing is, okay, when you say these kind of words, especially how social media has a responsibility, social media has the responsibility to do this. Social media is not a publisher. And now look, I talked about this on Friday's show too. I get that there are bad people out there. I understand it. But I believe in the absolution of free speech. We need to have free speech, period, on the platforms. Calling for censorship is never the answer. And when you start putting everyone in the same room, everyone's going to get their head chopped off. Obviously, the only way to counter hate speech, conspiracy speech, violence is through good people. And I do believe that the world is filled with good people stepping up and doing the right thing. Now, when you call for censoring somebody or them getting removed off a platform, you think that's going to stop them? Did that stop AJ? Did that stop Trump? Trump's now back on Twitter. And you think even when he was gone off Twitter, you think him and all of his millions of supporters and voters just disappeared overnight? That's not how things work. The real world is not a liberal arts college campus. Now, Elon Musk is not one of us, though, okay? He's a billionaire like anyone else. But the fact that now we're seeing this ever-growing conflict between, or what might eventually be a conflict between Apple and Twitter, it should have all of us concerned about the influence of what the establishment or the elites really want you to see. Now, no matter what, Elon Musk being in charge of Twitter, I mean, meet the old boss, same as the new boss. Garland Nixon was permanently suspended for a satirical tweet. That's not right. Good friend of the show, Case Study QB, his Twitter account is still censored. And all he's posting up there is just clips from corporate media. So nothing has really fundamentally changed. But know this, the establishment is slowly removing its mask and it's telling everyone what it really wants, a control of who can speak and who cannot speak. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House, be it a Republican or Democratic president. It doesn't matter. And if you vote Democrat or if you vote Republican and you think it does, you're a sucker, because they will always implement new rules to suppress speech. Look at the first segment that I covered. How many journalists are really going to look into this? How many journalists are really going to call out the fact that the establishment, corporate media, the two-party system, it's all interconnected?
Been very clear on calling that out. He'll continue to do that, and we're going to continue to monitor the situation. Go ahead.
Continue to monitor the situation, which is code word for if we got to go in there, we'll do that. And here's the thing. I want to shift it away from Twitter and Apple because another platform that's connected to Odyssey was censored and had to deal with Apple in its own right. I want to pull this up here as well. And this is from Library. Library is associated with Odyssey during COVID. So Musk tweeted out, who else has Apple censored? During COVID, Apple demanded our apps filter some search terms from being returned. If we did not filter the terms, our apps would not be allowed in the store. Apple may make good products, but they have been opposed to free speech for some time. We talked about this on the Hard Lens Media Show. So say what you will about Musk and Twitter. I mean, I don't think anything's really changed that much on Twitter except the Orange Cheetos back and maybe a few other people are back. But Garland Nixon's account has been suspended. So that tells me, again, who's ever controlling, I guess, the AI or monitoring things, if they can't tell that a tweet is satire, I guess comedy really is just dead or whatever. In case QB is wrongly being censored. So there we go. But look what happened to Library in its association with Odyssey. Apple was demanding that they filter and change things. So this was, again, the height during the pandemic. Even we here at Hard Lens Media, some of our YouTube stories had to be where we're being censored because what? We couldn't talk about COVID-19? Yeah. It's it is a situation that, again, goes back to the point that I've said. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And so long as these big tech corporations are, again, controlled by billionaires, and of course, if corporate media and a two-party system have their influence, that means all of us are going to be silenced as well. It can happen. Look at how we've been censored on YouTube. Look at how we've covered numerous other stories where you have these large social media platforms gathering your own personal data. This happens. Gathering your own personal data and selling it. You think Apple's innocent on all that? No. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they all do it. Google does it, everyone. So we'll see what happens with the big fight. So let me ask all of you, the audience. Let's have a little bit of democracy in the chat. I know, controversial statement. What the hell is democracy? Do you see any significance of this fight between Elon Musk and Twitter versus Apple? Type 5 if you think there's importance in this story and that we need to talk more about this and maybe the future of free speech, and maybe we need to start looking at other alternative social media platforms. Type 6 if you think this is a nothing burger. I want to get your feedback.